And welcome back. The plan for today is to check out Harvey Field in Snohomish, Washington by doing a little loop, which incidentally will pass over the location of my house, which is about 9 miles or 15 kilometers from the airfield. Right now we just took off from the airfield and we're looping around for an overflight of the airfield, and we'll head towards the Snohomish River. ORBX just released a triple installer for Harvey Field, and for those that aren't aware of the terminology, triple installer means an installer that includes FSX, P3D V1, and V2. When used with legacy airports, it means a version that has been converted for P3D V2 has been released. In this case, it's Harvey Field, which was originally released in December 2011. As mentioned, this airfield is special to me because it is so close to my house. When it was first released, Harvey acquired a reputation for being a challenging airport for computer systems, and has maintained that reputation over the years. In most cases for ORBX airports in the past, which are resource demanding, it is obvious by the scenery design and even by the control panel that maybe the designer wasn't focusing on actually flying aircraft. Thankfully, the current generation of ORBX developers seem to take a much more balanced approach and are more sensitive to performance issues than their predecessors, as evidenced by the design and marketing materials. Here we are going up the Snohomish River. That hilly wooded area on the left is Lord Hill Regional Park, and just beyond that is the town of Monroe. What we're looking for is the Route 522 bridge, and when we get there we're going to make a right turn and head due west, and that way we'll find 180th Street Southeast. So there's the bridge, and we are making our right-hand turn. If we had made a left-hand turn at the bridge, we would actually end up right over the town of Monroe. So as we make this right turn, we're going to head towards 180th, which is an east-west street, and we'll go right near my house. So now we're going down 180th. One thing to note, this land class is pretty dated. This area has seen pretty explosive growth in housing, and you won't see too many farms and trees here. You're going to see a lot of brand new housing developments. And there's where my house is, just to the left of 180th. Definitely not a farm down there. And now we've made it to Route 527, and we're making a right turn to head back to the airfield. You can see the lights for Payne Field just off in the distance. This populated area you see below, that was Mill Creek. And now we're headed back east towards our first visual reference point for our approach. That's looking north out of the passenger window on our eastward journey. But we're going to be looking for the Kenwanda Golf Course. That's going to be our visual reference point for coming into our approach to the airfield. You can see the golf course there on the left. If you look off in the distance, you can see some of the cascades starting to come into view as we get a little closer in that direction. First thing I noticed in playing with the control panel for Harvey is that it does perform significantly better in my P3D system than it did when I had it installed in FSX. I did end up unchecking the majority of the items on the control panel, but left in short grass, vehicles, dense static aircraft, and animated birds. The key is not enabling long grass. The difference between long grass medium and short grass was about 10 frames. I did have building autogen at normal, it is a Seattle area after all, and tree autogen at very dense. But with this, I did manage over 30 frames per second looking in any direction, even right at the airfield. And total VAS used was maxed out at 3.1 gigabytes. One thing to note, Shadowplay, as usual, does exaggerate microstutters, so any stutters you do see really didn't see in the live flight. Here we are on short final, coming into the airfield. This approach, you almost want to fly it lower than you feel like you should. You should feel like you're almost skimming the treetops if you're going to come in at a right approach angle. If you just eyeball it, most of the time you're going to come in too high and too fast, which in a lot of these planes will result in a long float. And here we are coming in for a nice touchdown. I was coming in slow enough that actually I could lay the brakes on and actually turn off at this first taxiway. So ended up being a pretty nice landing actually. Barely used any of the runway. One thing that's really distinct about Harvey Field and I really like about it is these red and white striped hangars. Makes it very distinctive, especially from the air, but even when you're just taxiing by them. Not a lot of the airports have these, and really sets it apart. So not only is it close to home, but it is actually one of the more interesting small airports visually. As we get closer to our parking spot, you can start to see some birds flying around in the air. I really love some of these nature effects that they throw in. Some of the effects and the additions ORBX puts in I think are a little over the top, but things like that really add to the immersion. Coming around to our parking spot, we'll grab ourselves a burger before we take off again. I really love those red and white striped hangars. Well, if you like what you saw, please hit like. I hope you enjoyed your visit to Harvey Field in Snohomish, Washington. By all means, subscribe and have a great day.